Welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Today, I'm calling all cat lovers. We're going to talk with Tiffany Vernier, who went from rural America to creating a groundbreaking cat supplement that's changing lives. So grab your cat, tune in, and prepare to be inspired. Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Hey, welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. This is going to be fun. This is actually my very first interview for this series, and I have Tiffany Vernier, and I am so excited to have her. This is, she's doing some really, really cool stuff, and I love her. So I'm excited to share her with you, and I think you're going to love her too. Tiffany, would you please introduce yourself and your business? Who do you serve? What problems are you solving?
Yes, I'm Tiffany, and I must say I've had to try to take a step back from trying to save the world before bedtime, because that was my original, my original premise. But I'm working on a way to impactfully connect with those who are with cat families who are facing terminal diagnosis with their cats, primarily through basically empowering the humans to facilitate healing with their cats. That's the long and short of it.
I love it. That's great. And our cats have actually had an opportunity to connect. we were on a Zoom call last week, and boom.
Yes, they
cats everywhere.
Yes, they have.
So I appreciate it. I'm getting used to cats. I've always been a dog person, and now we have two cats. And one of the cats has decided I'm her human, which I never had that before. And I'm like, this is really weird. So I'm always kind of like, do I treat you like a dog? I don't know. So I watch what you're doing. I have, full admiration for, they are lovely creatures. And when they get sick, they get really sick, and it can happen really fast. And I know how devastating we've had, 4 over the years that we've lost. And that's a hard thing. So thank you on behalf of the kitties and all their owners. So tell me, I know this has been kind of a journey that has been brewing for you, and it didn't just start today. Would you kind of give us an overview? Like where did this come from, and where are you now in the business?
Well, yes, it kind of, it's been, I would say it started about a little over 10 years ago or so, when I found myself in South Carolina being faced with cats kind of being dumped on my property. It was a rural area. People were barely taking care of themselves. So there were just cats everywhere, and cats would start getting sick, and people didn't know what to do. They're like, oh, well, you have cats, you're by yourself, like you're the cat lady. So they would dump cats in my yard, and some of them having like gaping holes in their bodies from being attacked by dogs, and they have AIDS, so it's not healing. And it was devastating. Like it was, and so when however I could, bringing these cats to whatever local veterinarian, they're like, oh, all these cats around here, they all have AIDS, they're all dying, you're wasting your time, just take them to us, we'll put them down, save yourself the misery. There was, and I hadn't been exposed to all of these things before, for feline AIDS, leukemia virus, feline coronavirus. I had one kitten who died in early 2000 of feline AIDS, and hardly any veterinarian knew what that was at the time. And so this was it was all of a sudden, there were all these cats who were just dying everywhere. And I was being told there was nothing that could be done to help them. Now in kind of suburban America or some other, other places or whatever, there are the rescue groups, there are the shelters, the this and that and the other, and they have low cost spay neuter clinics, and everything is all great and peachy. rural America, those things do not exist. The resources, people don't know what they don't know. They're focused on their own survival.
Yeah.
So what I was kind of left with was, how do I figure this out? How do I, like, if they're going to die, how do I at least let them pass with dignity? You know, as opposed to climbing the walls and screaming because their brains are degenerating so fast, I can't keep up with it. You know, it was pretty traumatizing. And so I learned one by one kind of what was kind of the trigger points, the catalyst, like, oh, this cat came from that family and that dad died from AIDS, so these guys probably have it, so this is probably what, you know, and certain types of like long-haired breed cats tend to have more respiratory problems and more. So it was really OJT.
Yeah,
I'm not a veterinarian. I'm a writer by trade. I had no idea. Like, I'm learning these things on my own. And there was no support groups at that time. And so it just basically, I was learning how to help them, and continually picking myself up off the floor at the same time, because it doesn't get any easier to say goodbye.
No. I mean, you're seeing stuff that this is, you know, like most families that have a family cat, right, they're going to get a few years from, you know, 10, 15, 20 years, maybe 2 years. You know, if something horrible goes on, it's fast, but it's one at a time. And you're getting a mountain of cats dropped on your property that your heart is, you want to take care of them. This has got to have been gutting.
Because the people didn't know. And low cost spay neuter clinics. No, those were the one that did exist at like 30 miles away was backed up for the next 8 months, and you had to meet low income requirements. And even spay neuter clinics, they wouldn't in the area. For a cat test positive for FIV, for feline AIDS, because they know most of the cats in the area have it, they won't do it, because they recommend euthanasia right away, because they know, like, they've seen it so much they become jaded. I mean, that's human nature, you know. At a certain point, you turn off the trauma,
right?
And
like, I can't do anything. Yeah,
the cognitive dissonance switches on, and it's just like, okay, I see this here. This is trauma. I can't process it. I can't make it better. So I'm going to disconnect and just go through the motions of what needs to be done. And so in my way of having to constantly overcome that disconnect, how do I stay in the moment? How do I stay with them while they're going through this, while they're feeling, you know, I can't take every cat in the neighborhood for euthanasia. Like, I couldn't afford that, you know, and there were dozens of them. And so learning, like, okay, how do you allow an animal to die with dignity? How do you keep yourself from, like, completely going into, like, this really dark place of depression? You know, it was, so I really had to learn. There was a huge process of self-regulating and becoming okay with the fact that goodbye was inevitable. Because it just kept happening, one after another. I think they would be doing okay, and I would find some treatment things. I would read about something, and at the time there were, you know, Yahoo groups. You know, I would learn that things that people were doing and trying, and it maybe worked for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and then they would go downhill again. And I couldn't make sense out of it, because at the time I didn't understand, you know, I didn't understand the illnesses and how they worked and what triggered them the way that I do now. So it's been a tremendous learning process to get to this point, to confidently be able to reach out with people who are facing these issues, to say, look, this is what these are the safest options you have. And there's a lot more available than there was at that time, but now so much more of it has gone into, you know, chemicals and surgeries and all this stuff, and that has its own set of risks that people, you know. So I'm learning how to communicate to the humans, because communicating to cats is so much easier.
Well, sometimes. And they're either going to love it or hate it.
Well, right. It's yes. With cats, it's fairly straightforward. With humans, it's a lot more complicated. Yes. So I've had to. That has been a big part of the journey too. Yeah. Is cats learning the easy part. I fit into the process.
Cats are the easy part. Man, all right. So what does this business look like? What are you doing? I know, at one point you had something with coffee grinds. I mean, there's a lot that's, I know you've had kind of some morphing as you go. What does it look like now?
Yes. Well, the first product that I am releasing is actually focused around chronic kidney disease, because now there's about $30-some billion a year on vet bills spent in the United States alone just for CKD, and it's diet. Wow. It's diet, it's vaccines, it's all of these, it's early spay neuter surgeries, all the conventional things that people are told to do with their animals to help them is actually some of the very things that are triggering these illnesses. So I'm starting where there's the biggest where I see the greatest need right now. Yeah. Because chronic kidney disease, it plays into feline AIDS and leukemia virus and feline coronavirus and everything. If a cat's ability to assimilate protein is life or death much faster than humans. Oh, wow. Humans can live with chronic humans can live with failing kidneys much longer than cats can. Because the cats are obligate carnivores, their protein intake is naturally much, much higher. So as soon as you compromise their kidneys and you'll compromise their ability to produce amino acids, they're dead. Like they don't have much time left. And so it's kind of like it kind of empowering the humans to say, look, here's something simple that you can do to make a dramatic transformation in your cat's life, because it's worked for my own cats. Like this has all been from personal experience. I could name at least 24 cats that have helped me come to this point, specifically with this. That if, like, in the midst of the vet telling me, oh, the cat's got 2 weeks to live, like, that's the end of the road, to 2 years later still going.
This is amazing.
Because of what I've learned and what I've been able to apply. Really? The hard way. So if I can help people from not having to go at it the hard way like I did, like, here's something simple that you can do, because we want what's best for our animals. We really, really do. But if we don't know what we don't know. Right. And if we're being told that this is the path forward, that these people, with these degrees and these certifications, or this is the way that it must be, a lot of times, well, we're programmed not to question that. And so kind of what I'm doing is saying, well, look, here's another possibility. Here's another way that it's simpler, it's less expensive, it doesn't hurt your cat. You're not gonna hurt your cat by trying it. Yeah. You're not gonna. So it's just really helping people to take that kind of more into their cat's health more into their own hands. That's where I go. And it's so like the cat litter, the blankets, all of these things are still here and moving. But I felt like right now the healing crisis is the biggest item on the agenda for me.
That's great. It's like you found like if you have a knot, right? And there's like all these strings sticking out, and you can just kind of like, which one do I pull to loosen this thing? You found that knot. That's really cool. And you can help, you're helping these cat parents to advocate for their own cat. That's amazing. So I'm sure there's like an educational component, and then what's the product itself? Is it supplement, or like what do you do?
For right now, it will be classified as a supplement, because then once you move into the food product and things, and then it has to be certified by AAFCO, which, I mean, let's be real, they certify roadkill for cat food. They certify, they certify soy protein and corn for cat food. So
this bar is not high.
It's not really a super high bar, but at the same time, I'm using a novel protein source with my black soldier fly grubs. and I had to, my initial, because cats do eat bugs. They're very high, they're super high in protein, and it's very highly bioavailable. So when your kidneys are not working properly and not breaking things down into proteins, into amino acids, the last thing you want is a concentrated, hard to digest, hard to work through thing that they can't extrude any value from. It's making the kidneys work harder. So this supplement work with black soldier fly larva and Pro Boost, which is a thymic protein, to rebuild the immune system, was actually given to HIV patients back in the early 1990s, and it worked a bit too well. So now they rebranded it. But some mushrooms to help break down the protein even further to make it more bioavailable. That was something I learned from the Mr. Mushroom Man at the conference, the capitalism conference this past May, because that makes it even easier for the kidneys to say, oh, they don't have to work as hard. So all of these ingredients combined will allow the kidneys to absorb the protein and break down the amino acids with less work.
That's fantastic.
It's been a work in progress, but furs coming back, eyes are brighter, putting on weight, where they were losing weight. It's really been incredible. So I'm excited.
It's like you're watching a miracle happen for a cat.
It honestly it is, because once their sense of taste and their sense of smell goes,
they're not going to eat.
That's ball game. They're done, because they will not eat if they cannot taste or smell.
Right. Wow, it's like it's like they were on a one-way road, you're not going to make it, and now you've given them, all right, here's your U-turn, So was it Taro or was it Josh that you talked to that had the mushroom? Like, which mushroom man?
It was Josh. It was Josh with the mushroom, the shroom junkie.
Oh, I love that stuff. It was sad that went, but that's so cool. And he's got that that's fantastic. I know that he was working on stuff that it's like they've got this mushroom. Are you working with that manufacturer? I can't remember their name, but
I'm not. Not quite yet. I am still with the formula and everything. Yeah, there's Lena. She's one of the miracle cats. She's when I get to the order quantity of being able to work with them. Right now I'm working with a company that does a lot of mushroom supplementation. They specifically for pets out of Oregon, because lots of mushrooms seem to grow very well in Oregon. So that's kind of where I'm starting, because I'm able to kind of test different quantities and test different mushrooms, because cats have certain limitations of things that they will eat and what they won't. And so when that line is crossed, they won't touch it. So I'm able to I feel like a bit of a mad scientist right now to make sure that the ratios are, that the ratios work for me in terms of nutritional benefit, but also work for the cats, because if they won't eat it, it doesn't matter.
Right. You cannot make a cat eat.
Nope. No, cannot.
Wow. All right. So where are you in the process then? Are you still like product development? Is that still, is that ongoing or?
I have an acceptable formula right now.
Oh, wow.
So I am actually, I was set to pre-launch a few weeks ago before the website snafu and everything. Yeah. And I realized that when you're working with technology, it's fantastic until it doesn't work.
Yes, it's great when it works.
And always have a backup. I was trying to go faster, so I was kind of writing the content for the website as I went, kind of thing, and editing it in the editor. Bad idea.
Ooh.
So it didn't, so when all of that went away, so did all
You
of
don't have
the
a
work.
backup. Yeah.
I didn't have, I did, because I was trying to go fast.
Yeah.
I was trying to, this is my deadline. I've got to meet my deadline. I have to do this. So I was just going, burning the midnight oil, trying to get everything there. But the only part that stayed is what I did not use the theme builder for, of what the content that I originally had.
Oh.
So that was a hard lesson to have to learn. It was like, yes, I grew up with the tortoise and the hare, but I didn't really, I thought I could be the hare and beat the tortoise this time.
I get you. I get you. That is a bad feeling. I think probably every online entrepreneur has had that moment of, oh no, where's my
yes,
or whatever.
Yes. That was, yes.
Go back. Like,
yes.
Oh no. Oh, Tiffany. Oh. All right, I'm going to make you feel a little bit better. So I worked for a company called Nitro Marketing back in like 2010. And we had this thing called Local Business Money Machine. It was this course. It was amazing. It was fantastic, built on WordPress. And I came in and I was like supposed to be, working on product. And I cleaned up some code that broke like a $25 million product. I'm like, oh no. So I have seen that face also. I'm like, oh, I fixed it. It was fixable, thank goodness. But it was a bad moment. But I think everybody's had that. Now you'll never do that again, right?
That is correct. And it also gave me the benefit of now, because this was before the kind of the introduction to the newer tool to Beehive. So now and kind of shifting around the e-commerce store thing, because that whole setup got wiped out. Yeah. So I'm having to rebuild my store from scratch, but realizing in the process of doing that now what I am using is giving me a better setup overall than what I would have had. So it's working out. It's just getting past the ego. It's getting past the ego rub of like, oh, I was trying to flip fast and it didn't work.
I feel you. And you will look back on it and laugh at some point, and it'll be a great story for like, oh man, remember that time? But it's painful in the moment. But and it's great, finding a better platform. That's a huge thing. So that's awesome. That's wild. So do you have a launch date in mind, or?
Well, now I'm giving myself, because I'm redoing. I've paid like 3 different people to try to do my website and try to fix this and I need to just do it myself. Yeah. And so given that, I'm giving myself to I'm giving myself to the end of the month. I don't think to October 1st. I don't think it's necessarily going to take that long, but when I tried to push myself too hard last time, I crashed it. So I'm not doing that. You learned your
lesson. That's great.
So I'm giving myself till October 1st, because I'll be set up for pre-sales at that point. And that will that will make sure that that I can get all of the packaging, that I can create the experience for my people that I want to create. Yeah. Because I don't like receiving, if I'm paying for if I'm paying for certain things, I don't necessarily want them to show up wadded up in a little brown ball now if I'm ordering feed online, or if I'm ordering seeds, or if I'm if I've got something like that, that's fine. But I want to have like I know it kind of went by the wayside fairly quickly, but kind of the unboxing experience, almost something for the person, for their cat, some little thing, even if it's a little piece of, a catnip toy, something special, when they open it, they say, oh, this is different. This is nice. That's kind of what, so it's taken me a little bit longer, because that's kind of where my design perfectionist thing, whatever, has come in. So I've had to tame that beast. I did not realize it was death by option. There's so many beautiful things out there. Like, wow, I could spend $100 on just packaging for one person.
Yeah,
is incredible.
grow really fast.
Yes. This is a great way to bankrupt my business before I could just spend it all on packaging. So that has been a really interesting problem to have of like, oh, I actually have to dial it back.
That's a good thing.
You know, so I'm right. I'm right there. It's been a long time in coming, but I'm confident whether 10 people buy the product or 1 million people buy the product, the people that give this to their cats, it will help their cats to feel better. And it will make a difference in their lives. So that's really where I'm going. And so that's kind of because it's more about impact, and building trust in this space is not easy. Sure. There is a stigma behind cat ladies for a reason. Some of it's very memey, some of it's very funny, oh ha ha, and then there's some of it like, wow, ooh, that's so true.
Oh my.
And it's very challenging. In the dog market, people tend to be a little bit more trusting, a little more adventurous, a little more, kind of more of the dog personality.
More like a dog.
And, let's go here and then we'll go there and we'll try this. And cat people are like, what's your angle?
Oh, it's just like a cat.
What? Suspicious right out the gate, and like, oh, well, my specialist said this, and my cat's care team did this and said that, so who are you? And so I'm having to work through a lot of different dynamics that I didn't really anticipate, because it's a different market. There's a reason why people, because it goes back to the whole cat dog thing in general, the masculine feminine energy things, and so there's a lot of things that have to work through to cultivate trust. So for me, in launching pre-sales and getting out and really getting out there, is just to say to the people who already do know me and who do appreciate how I've helped them with their cats, to say, here's something I can physically offer you. Instead of sending them to all these different places and, oh, here's this over here, here's that over there, I'm offering something myself. Yeah. That's really where the change is coming now. And to really get behind some people who are doing fantastic things for cats and treating and even curing some of these diseases, but they can't. They've been shut down. They've been censored. They've been pushed. They've been marginalized. And part of my mission is to say, no, your work needs to be seen. It needs to be honored. It needs to be treated for what it is, because there's some really fantastic people doing amazing work, treating even feline coronavirus. And it's just been incredible. One lady cured 500 cats by herself using homeopathy, but her work has been cut out of every major scientific journal, and since the early 2000s, it's just been cut out. And when I found it, like, no, this, we need to figure out a way to bring it back. Maybe the time wasn't there, the timing wasn't there, and she didn't have the strength to fight. She didn't have the energy. It's like, okay, new generation, new time. It's time to bring this forward. There are some really incredible things out there that people are just simply not aware of. And that's part of my mission too.
It sounds like you're also
empowering people.
Yeah. And you're empowering them to, it sounds like, in a sense too, it's not even, there's the cat, maybe the cat lady gone wild type, but you're kind of up against the pharmaceutical industry.
Yes, kind of. Well, yeah, that's. I've been censored. I have been. I can't even count the amount of times that I've been censored since COVID, because the feline coronavirus, human coronavirus, there's so much there. There's so much there. So many similarities. So many things. So much, and trying to be direct and to the point, every time I get shut down. Sure. And so I'm having to learn, like, okay, there's a song and there's a dance and there's a way to get information without just, without saying certain things. It's learning the tap dance, and for the longest time, I didn't have the emotional availability to do that. I was so like, I
You were
need a
taking it
product
personally because they were attacking you personally, and you took it personally. I mean, reasonable, but yeah.
But I had to. It's like, okay, my skin at that time, my skin was not thick enough to move forward.
Yeah,
that's and that was the long and short of it. Dealing with my own things and my own personal stuff and all of these, and then also having to work through the letting go of what had been a part of a dream of mine to pursue this dream, because the Idlewild adventure for me has been deeply personal, because my kids and I started out this leg of our journey in like 2019 on 3 acres of beautiful land in Virginia. And the whole idea was building this, this kind of refuge, this sanctuary, not just for cats, but for animals and eventually humans, and growing our own food and everything. And I had all of these plans and all of these ideas, and then we got some ducks and got some chickens and got some goats and then realized, oh my God, how am I going to do this all by myself?
Yeah.
And work and the kids, and but it had been a dream of mine for so long to build this self-sustaining lifestyle. And I felt it was like one dream in one hand, and building this business and serving these cats and cat families in another.
Yeah.
And it was like, I can't hold on to both at the same time right now.
Mm.
So I had to let one go to be able to fully hold on to the other.
Yeah.
So it was like, we just left everything behind there to move, to be, to be in a space where we could build this, to build this dream first.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the hardest decisions to have to make.
I would imagine. I mean, that it's a hard thing, even though, all right, so you got the 2 dreams, maybe one is just on the back burner for a while, but you don't know, it could be, that's it, and that's a hard thing to process. How do you, I definitely want to get into like the wilderness part here, but I'm imagining that as you're processing this massive decision, you're in your little farmette, in Virginia, and I would imagine that probably having that time in nature helped you to process, but I'm assuming so. So I want to know, like, how has nature, like your time in nature, how do you use it? What do you do? And what has it yielded for you?
Because, it was such a like a beautiful time. And that's exactly what happened, is that as the external circumstances in my life and all these other things were like completely falling apart, we had, my boys and I, like, it was kind of an accident. Like, Tractor Supply right before Easter was trying to give us these chicks and ducks. I knew nothing about this. And they saw my kids standing there next to the little thing, and they're like, oh, well, we need to get rid of these before the end of the day because no one's coming on the weekend, and so we'll give you a discount and take it. Well, I didn't realize that we were, these weren't little egg-laying chickens that, oh, well, okay, these are Cornish crosses. So they're cute and tiny for about 2 days, and then they turn into this really disgusting mess for the next however many weeks they're alive. And so we bring these little creatures home, and it was like kind of my world just kind of had to expand, because now we have these little creatures and we have to figure it out. And one of the chickens had an impacted crop, and one of the ducklings was like, wings was starting to, the cats were being too fresh with the ducklings, and we couldn't leave them outside right away because, it was too cold. And so having to bring these things in the house, and it was just, but what it did was, through all of the transition, all of the turmoil, was like these little beings, as they grow, they're going to help take care of us, because this was right at the start of COVID. The meat, eggs, all of this stuff was going by the wayside. And I had special needs cats. They have to eat meat. Like, they're anemic. They have to have protein. They have to, and it was just, so seeing them as a way of like being able to take care of my family through some really, really hard times. I mean, we didn't I never ate the chickens because you can't eat what you name kind of thing per se. And then we did get some egg laying chickens and I didn't have to worry about that anymore. We didn't really eat the ducks either, but they laid so many eggs as they got a little bit older. And it was just incredible to see these lives just sort of, and their little personalities, like how they did things with each other and how they interacted with the cats and the dogs, I mean, it brought a new sense of life and a sense of purpose that took me. I was in such a convergent focus with all the things going on. I was such survive. But having them in our lives was kind of like, oh, we go outside and there's a duck that's like, okay, I'm hungry. They love Cheetos, they like ham, their favorite thing was hot dogs, and so they were just kind of around, and the kids were going out playing in the dirt doing what, and the chickens were over there scratching in the dirt with them. So it was it was comic relief too. I mean, it wasn't so funny when the raccoons came in. The dogs had to take care of a few of those, but it just kind of expanded. It really expanded our horizons at a time where we really needed it. It seems crazy, like, why in the world, going through, the whole world shutting down, relationships falling apart, like all of these other things going on, like not really making any money, why would it seem like bringing animals or bringing nature so close to our house makes such a big difference? But it was a way to see life through other living beings' eyes.
Yeah.
It was a way to like see that, oh, there's whole little worlds that exist outside of my own frame of reference. And so that really it really gave me a greater sense of purpose and eventually they were laying eggs, and we did have to get the Cornish crosses got so big, but nobody around there, they're like, okay, if you raise your own chickens, you take care of it yourself. Like that was interesting. Because there's all factory turkey farms around there and stuff like that. Nobody cared about a handful of chickens. So I'm like, how do I do this? Yeah. So I had to, so it was like, okay, no more meat chickens, like, because I'm not set up for meat chickens, but it was fantastic, and starting to grow things and watching the ducks, like, oh, we plant blueberries. Oh, the ducks destroyed the blueberries. And how do you keep the ducks from destroying the bushes? And, it was so and the goats, like, destroying my vehicle, like climbing on top of the roof of the house and jumping on top of my vehicle and denting it and cracking the glass. And they're pygmy goats, like, tiny little things. All of our dogs were bigger than those things, but they destroyed the house.
Oh no. I've heard that about goats. That's awful.
Three little goats. They can jump 8 feet high.
Oh, that's insane.
I have never seen anything like it people did not believe me.
Oh my. That's wow.
There was never a dull moment, and I think that gave me, like, just knowing that was there every day. And there was that rooster, that cranky rooster that the neighbors brought. She's like, oh, you have chickens, you need a rooster.
Oh no, you
didn't really need one. Did not need one. And he forever changed the dynamics of everything, and he just took charge. And I was outside yelling at the goats, and he'd come and try to peck my face off. As long as I was calm, he was calm. But the minute I got upset, he was right in my face. And so I had to learn, like, don't go outside angry. Don't go screaming at the goat. Don't chase him with the frying pan. Don't, just, you have to stay calm, because the rooster can't.
The rooster's watching.
Yeah, the rooster's watching. He would come out of nowhere and just, like, bam, so I had to learn how, not just managing my emotions through unbelievable stressful times, but like the direct impact it had on everything and everyone around me. I had to take them into, like, why do I have to care what a rooster thinks if I'm mad today? Why? Well, because his, because I couldn't clip his spurs in the back because he was just too feisty.
That's insane. Roosters are like that. It's nuts. Do you have, let me ask you this, do you have like an outdoor ritual that you follow now? Something that you'll just do for yourself every day?
Pretty much. I mean, now we're kind of in the suburbs, and I'm trying to figure out how, when, whatever, as far as moving goes and all this stuff. The HOA life is not really for me.
Yeah, that's different.
But it is something like every night, and I've tried to be careful because of the drought that Texas has been in for so long. But I will go outside after the kids are in bed. And I still have some of the plants we brought with us from Virginia. The moringa seems to be doing really well. The lavender is doing well. I've got kind of a little garden, so to speak, in the front yard area around the front of the house, and I just go out every night, and even if it's like with the little kids bucket or whatever, and just put a little bit of water on everything to keep it alive. But it's just... and the trees that look like the leaves are going to fall off of them for their day, give some of the trees some water. And that has really been that's been a huge part of my routine here, is just continuing in my own space, just taking care of them and allowing those sunflowers to grow wild in the backyard from the wild bird feed and stuff, and allowing those have fed the birds through the sunflowers that have grown from discarded bird seed. It's been feeding the birds all summer long. So, excuse me. So I've made it a point to I'm still, even if it's just at night for a few minutes after the kids are in bed, but I'm still outside with the plants, with our little garden and everything, trying to take care of it.
Right. That's good. I would imagine that time is kind of like...
Well, when I'm not stepping in the prickle grass or a mound of fire, because you don't go outside in Texas in your yard at night without a flashlight.
No,
and
fire ants.
People tell me that, and I just now because my leg, I had one leg was destroyed by the prickle things, and the other one was just eaten alive by fire ants. I'm like, okay, I've learned now. Don't go outside without a flashlight in Texas. And now I realize that I was also, by watering the oak trees, I'm also watering the copperheads, and didn't know that.
Okay.
So I had to learn that. Someone was like, oh, you might want to be careful getting too close to oak trees this time of year, because the copperheads are, the babies are coming out. So, things like that. But it is, it's been very important to kind of maintain that connection.
Yeah, sure. It sounds like it's not always exactly tranquil. I mean, copperheads.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I know what it is. Kind of was in our backyard in Virginia. The things to look out for. It's a little more tenuous here in Texas. There's quite a few more things to get hurt on.
Yeah.
But yes, maintaining that connection with nature, with being outside. And the deer have eaten all of my mulberry bushes and things like that. But it's been so hot and dry here that it just kind of makes me, I'm like, well, I gave them something to eat, because everything's been pretty much dead.
Yeah.
So I see that as even something. It's like, okay, that they're coming. Everything has been rearranged during the summertime or whatever, just to try to survive. So the little things that I can do like that, it's like, keeping the little patches of grass that I can watered, it's feeding the crickets, which are then feeding the birds. So it's those little things, making those little connections. It really helps, because it's a world beyond just my own stuff.
That's true. You opened Tiffany's Snack Shack for animals.
Right. In some way or another, I'm not feeding goats or chickens or ducks right now, but I'm feeding birds and crickets and very large spiders and scorpions.
Circle of life. Ooh, scorpion. Yikes. Yeah. Oh, you know what? So if you ever get the fire ants bite, it might work on scorpion bites too, but the little roll-on stick we got at Capcom for Migristil, it works on
Yeah.
fire ant bites. And sumac.
Oh, good to know. I
You
still
never
have
know.
some. Okay. That's really good to know.
Off-label
Okay.
use, but yeah, that was good. Man, all right. So then I'm building Idlewild Woods where we have not broken ground yet, and I'm taking requests. So, like, what would be an amazing retreat experience for you? Like, what would be some things that you're just hoping would be amazing, there or anywhere? What would you do on this retreat? Where would you go? All that. What would you do?
I think something of having that having that connection with nature, like I said, it's so important. And sometimes it's so easy to like have to think that you've got to do something really big or special to achieve that. I think what I liked about this whole process of building everything from the ground up is almost like the simplicity of it is that you don't have to, like, you can just, I mean, I know people who've never used a charcoal grill in their lives, or don't know how to start a fire, who don't know, like, s'mores is a cereal, like, it's just amazing. It's just amazing to me of like the level of kind of like the level of disconnect. So I honestly think of like those opportunities. Like if I was going in somewhere, a family thing of taking my kids, where I would be able to, to be able to do the campfire thing, to have the campfire stories, and to have the, and maybe go look, like, okay, certain times of the year may be better than others, but like look for things like the deer trails or the bear or the, maybe not after dark, but, of just like finding those, of finding those things and getting in, being able to get in the dirt, and of course my kids are always about the, the swimming holes, and those kinds of things, and there's all those activity things that you can put in and all of that, but I don't know if I was going to take my family somewhere to really disconnect from where we were and reconnect with nature. For me, it would be more about those things that kind of got lost with time of being outside. Part of the beauty of being outside, maybe a camp area might need to have, if it's going to be for, more people to use, it might need a overhang and some concrete or whatever, so people don't set the whole place on fire. There may be some of those like safety considerations, but at least like, oh, here's some sticks and here's some marshmallows, and and go figure it out, and of things of like not having starter fluid to start a fire, which that can get dicey anyways. I just use a little bit of essential oil and some paper, just things to facilitate people understanding, like, kind of, it doesn't have to be complicated. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have 100 things going on to have a meaningful experience. So I think that's, for me, that would be a big driver, is that, if I want 100 things to do, I'll just go to an amusement park and overstimulate myself and give myself a giant headache. Yeah. But if I'm going somewhere to reconnect with nature, and of course the animals, I mean, you mentioned having alpacas, and like, oh my God, what like crazy little creatures to have around. I mean, they would always be giving some kind of entertainment, and maybe wear some safety goggles if you're, if you think you're going to cop an attitude with them or whatever, because, but but it's just like having those things, those simple, you know, and maybe not a rooster, but it's like, oh well, here, collect some eggs from the chickens, kind of thing. Because people don't know what that's like anymore.
It's true. You take it for granted once you've done it. You're like, this is great. These are the best eggs ever, and how fun, you know? Like, and most people have never, ever, ever done that. And it's hard to remember that because, like, once you're doing it, it just seems like, well, this is what we do. But I love that. This is great. So less cruise ship, more farm. I like it.
That's what I think, because it's there's so much of that. There's so much of those this like overstimulation or whatever going on in general. There's so much of that. But what about if there was a space to, you know, kind of, okay, it's a Sunday night or whatever, and there's a Sunday night group meal, you know, kind of thing going on, or, you know, just facilitating those connections again. And it doesn't have to be, like you said, sometimes it's just the simplicity of it, like a stainless, I mean, not a cast iron crock pot and put some stuff in it and call it dinner, you know, like it just, people, that's such a novelty now.
Yeah.
People don't even know. We went into Buc-ee's because we're right here, and it's a crazy. But we've gone into Buc-ee's, and there are people who walk past, they have those big cast iron like kettle things or whatever. There's people who walk past, and I heard a lady last week is like, what is that?
Wow.
Yeah. She looked at it and she asked her kid, she's like, what is that thing?
Amazing.
Like, so that's the kind of stuff I think it's easy to take. It's easy to take for granted if you've ever been in that space.
Yeah. That
people just know what that is.
Sure.
You know, it about broke my heart when one of the kids in my boys, they go to the kids gym and play every now and again, and one of them mentioned about having, you know, in our old house how we would go outside and just make s'mores and stuff. And the kid was asking, was like, what is that?
Wow.
You know, does it taste good? Like, oh, okay. So yeah, I really think there's a big, those experiences, we don't collectively have those kinds of things anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Man, well, I'm on a mission. We're doing that, so that's going to be. I feel the same way. Like, so many people don't know how to grow food. They don't know how to do anything outside. They haven't built anything. You know, they don't know how to start a fire. They don't know what s'mores are. All this kind of stuff, and it's, you know, generations ago. And when I was growing up, you went to camp, you know, or you went camping with your family. You learned all this, and the world has just changed so much. And I know there are adults my age who never had those experiences too. And yeah, I'm going to provide that. That's going to be cool. All right, so you're going to come and visit?
Oh yes, yes, I absolutely am, and I'm going to be jealous the whole time.
Nice. Well, you know, who knows? You're not a tree. You're not, you know, rooted to Austin forever. So
no, definitely not. Like I love water. Yeah. I've realized that I don't need to be in it all the time. I don't need to be by the beach
nearby.
It's not that, but I need to know that it's accessible. Yeah. Like that there's something, if I dig a hole down far enough in the ground, I'm, you know, just with the shovel, then I'm gonna be able to get something.
I love
it. It's just, this has been, yes, it's been eye-opening.
That's really cool. All right, Tiffany, where can people find out more about what you're up to?
Yes, my site is will be going live
by now.
in a few days. That will be ahealedcat.com. I'm also, my Facebook is, my community page is Moms, Cats, and Kids. There is the support group specifically for sick cats is the cat illness and support group. on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn at A Healed Cat. And also YouTube and TikTok.
Okay. So pretty much anywhere. They can throw a rock online and they're going to find you if they go. That's great.
Yes, and it's purple. It's a purple, yes. So, so yes, that's where I can be found. Optimizing all of those channels is definitely a work in progress, but yes.
That's great. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here. This is great. I'm delighted to have you here. This is I can't wait to share your story.
Thank you so much, Sue. I appreciate it. It's always great to connect with you, and I'm so excited about your journey. Like it's so cool.
Yours too. If we can support, that's what we're here for. So cool.